Today we're going to look at a different kind of linear equation, just in a different form. So the form we're looking at today is called standard form, where we've been working mainly in slope-intercept form when y is by itself. So up at the very top, I'm going to write down what standard form actually looks like. So standard form is going to be an equation that looks like ax plus by equals c. So a couple things to notice here. The x and the y are on the same side. We haven't seen that before. And then our equation is equal to just some number or a constant. Standard form has a lot of uses. We use it in word problems sometimes. We use it to find some different features of lines, and it's still just an equation of a line. But for graphing, we tend to like slope-intercept form. So for right now, when we see a standard form equation, we're going to convert it to slope-intercept form. So remember, slope-intercept form is going to look like y equals mx plus b. And we like this form because it clearly shows us the slope and it clearly shows us the y-intercept and lets us graph those. So what we're going to do today is convert the equations from standard form to slope-intercept form, which really ultimately just means get y by itself. And there's going to be two main steps to do that. The first step, to get y by itself from standard form, we would need to get rid of whatever this x is. So we would need to move the x term. And then our second step to get y by itself would be to divide by the coefficient of y. All right, so let's jump right in with an example. We've got number 1, says 4x minus 2y equals 10. So we said our first step is going to be to move the x. And remember our solving equation skills. When you move anything across the equal sign, we have to do the opposite or the inverse operation. So in this case, if I'm going to move this x, I see a positive 4x. So the opposite would be to subtract 4x on both sides. And when we subtract 4x on both sides, it's going to make it cancel out on the left, leaving me with just this negative 2y. And now check out the right side. When I need to do 10 minus 4x, those are not like terms. I cannot actually subtract them as far as doing like 10 minus 4. I'm not allowed to do that because they're not like terms. So we're actually just going to rewrite this to start making it look like slope-intercept. I'm going to write the x first. So I see that minus 4x. I'm going to write minus 4x. And then I had that positive 10. I'm going to write it as a plus 10. And the reason we like it in this order is think about our y equals mx plus b. So we have the x and then a constant. I've got my x and then my constant. So that's why we prefer that order. And that's as much as we can combine those terms. We cannot actually combine them because, again, they're not like terms. One of the terms has an x and the other is just a constant. So then my last step is going to be to divide by the coefficient of y. So in this case, there's a negative 2 next to my y. So negative 2y means negative 2 times y. So to undo that, we're going to need to divide by negative 2. And when we divide by negative 2, we're going to divide everything by negative 2 to keep our whole equation balanced. And dividing by negative 2, on the left will cancel out. Negative 2 divided by negative 2 is just 1 to leave me with just my y. And now I'm going to do this division. Negative 4 divided by negative 2 is positive 2. Keep my x there. And 10 divided by negative 2 is negative 5. So now this equation actually does graph the exact same line as the equation that we started with. It's just something that would be easier for us to graph by hand. Now I can see that my y-intercept is negative 5. I can see that my slope is 2, so it's a little bit easier for us to work with based on what we've learned so far. All right, number 2 is going to follow the exact same pattern. So we have 5x plus 3y equals 18. So first step, move the x. If I see a positive 5x, I'm going to subtract 5x on both sides. And that will give me 3y equals, and now here remember we can't do 18 minus 5 because those are not like terms, so we're just going to do some rearranging and write the x first. It's a minus 5x, so negative 5x, and then there was a positive 18, so plus 18. And now my second step is going to be to divide everything by the coefficient of y. So we're going to divide everything by 3. And that will give me y equals, so now when I go over to the right side to do my division, negative 5 divided by 3 doesn't work out nicely, so I can just leave it as a fraction. Negative 5 thirds x. 18 divided by 3 is 6. And so now, again, in this format of my equation, in slope-intercept form, I can see my y-intercept is 6, my slope is negative 5 thirds, and that would be easier to graph by hand. All right, let's do one more together. Number 3 says negative 2x plus 5y equals 15. So again, I'm going to move the x. Check this one out, though. This one starts with a negative 2x or a minus 2x. So to get it to the other side to do the opposite, this time I'm going to have to add a 2x on both sides. So then I'll have 5y. And then on the right side, remember, I just do a little bit of rearranging of my order. It's a positive 2x, so I can write 2x, and a positive 15, so plus 15. And then we divide by the coefficient of y. So we're going to divide everything by 5, which will leave us with y equals 2/5 x, and then 15 divided by 5 is 3. All right, so we've got 3 more examples for you. For these last 3 examples, though, we are actually going to graph. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to write down the equation in number 4, 6x minus 2y equals 8. And then I want you to pause the video. So you're going to pause and try to get y by itself, see if we're getting the hang of that, and then we'll graph together. So go ahead and pause. And now hopefully you have solved this problem for y, put it in slope-intercept form, and you are checking with me. So I'm going to move my x, so minus 6x on both sides. And that will leave me with a negative 2y equals negative 6x plus 8. And then we divide everything by negative 2, which will give us y equals positive 3x. So negative 6 divided by negative 2 gives us a positive 3. And then positive 8 divided by negative 2 is going to be a negative 4. So there's my new equation in slope-intercept form. Now remember, the y-intercept is the number, the constant in your slope-intercept equation. So your y-intercept is right here, this negative 4. And your slope is the number or the coefficient next to x, so our slope is 3. And remember, for slope, when we're graphing, if it's not already a fraction, we can always put it over 1. So 3 over 1 is the same as 3. 3 divided by 1 is just 3. And then for graphing, I start by plotting my y-intercept, which in this case is down at negative 4. And then I'm going to use my slope to go, it's positive 3 over positive 1. So I'm going to go up 3 and right 1 and put a dot. And I'm going to do that a couple of times. Up 3 and right 1. Up 3 and right 1. So when I draw my line, I'm going to go right through those points. And then I'm going to put my arrows on the end to show that my line keeps going in both directions. All right, so number 5 says 2x plus 3y equals 6. So go ahead and pause, try to get y by itself, and then unpause when you're ready to check. To get y by itself here, I'm going to subtract 2x on both sides, which will leave me with 3y on the left. And I'm going to rearrange so my x comes first, negative 2x plus 6. And then I'm going to divide everything by the coefficient of y, which for this one is 3. So I get y equals negative 2/3 x. Negative 2 divided by 3, I can just write as negative 2/3. And then 6 divided by 3 is 2. So in this example, my y-intercept would be this positive 2. That's my constant in my equation. And then our slope is going to be the coefficient of x. So in this case, it's a negative 2/3. And that one's already in fraction form. So I'm going to graph on my y-axis, my y-intercept, which is a positive 2. And then I'm going to use my slope, negative 2 over 3, to go down 2 because it's negative, and then to the right 3 for my positive 3. So down 2, right 3 would be right here. I'm going to do it again. Down 2, right 3. My next point would run right off the graph, so I've got enough points to draw a line. As close as I can through those points. And then I'm going to put my little arrows on the end. All right, I want you to try this last one totally by yourself. So get y by itself, find the y-intercept, find the slope, and try to graph it. And then unpause when you're ready to check. So we should add 3x on both sides since it started as a minus. We'll have 4y equals 3x minus 16. And we'll divide everything by 4, which will give us y equals 3/4 x minus 4. So our y-intercept in this one is negative 4. Our slope is 3/4. So I'm going to plot my y-intercept first on the y-axis. I'm going down to negative 4. My slope is positive 3/4, so I'm going to go up 3 and over 4. And I'll do that a couple of times. And I've got enough points to draw a line. All right, so you will practice this more in class with your teachers, and then you'll have some Delta Math practice as well. This is kind of one of those topics where practice is going to make perfect. So as many repetitions as you can get in, make sure you go to class and practice your Delta Math to make sure you really can go from standard form to slope intercept form.